You have the right to remain silent. At least until I finish my review. Hi, welcome to my review for Maniac Cop, the 1988 film directed by William Lustig. Obviously, this is a film about a cop that goes a little bit cuckoo. I'm not convinced about the name of the film. I think maybe Crazy Policeman might have been a better title. What do you think? Well, anyway, this particular policeman or cop, his name is Matt Cordell. And at some point before this film begins, supposedly he was this super cop who was like the best of the best, putting criminals away left, right and centre. And for reasons that are still a bit hazy to me now, he was framed and sent down for a crime he didn't commit. And once he got to prison, obviously there were loads of criminals there that Cordell himself put away in the past who all want a piece of him. So they surprise him in the prison showers one day, they knife him, beat him up, they leave him completely, virtually dead. And it's only the interventions of the infirmary prison doctor who, realising that he's in a completely vegetative state, decide to just take pity on him, sneak him out the side door of the prison, probably not expecting him to live more than a couple of weeks in his old girlfriend's care. But this is a movie, of course, so Cordell makes a full recovery, apart from the scars on his face, which stay, but apart from that, he gets all of his strength back, and he dons a policeman's uniform and goes out on a big killing frenzy, killing loads of innocents, and eventually he hopes to track down some of the people who are responsible or who he holds responsible for not stepping in and preventing him from suffering this fate of being framed. So that's the plot. It took longer to explain than I thought it would. This killer is frightening. He's a really good movie villain. He's like Jason Voorhees in a police uniform. He's this big hulking guy. He wears a bulletproof vest, so you can't even shoot him very easily. He's very strong. He's played by a guy called Robert Zadar, who the only other time I've seen Robert Zadar was in Tango and Cash, where he played, ironically, this tough prison guy who Tango and Cash have to electrocute on this roof just before they make their escape. So he's a good actor and he's perfect for this role. He's got this big kind of jawline. And he's scary. I mean, he's just like a really good 80s slasher killer. He always has that habit of kind of popping out when you least expect him to. He's just fearsome, and he really shook me up when I first watched this film, because I was only about 13 or 14 when I watched it. And it's kind of a grey area as to whether we're supposed to feel some sympathy for Cordell, because when you find out his backstory, you kind of think, well, this was a good guy, and he just fell victim to a miscarriage of justice. I mean, I know he kills innocent people at the start of this film, and so you'd probably say, well, he doesn't deserve any sympathy then. But I don't know. I mean, possibly he suffered brain damage during this incident in the shower, and that's affected his moral compass somewhat. So it's kind of interesting. And even the protagonist in this film has a lot of shades of grey. His name's Jack Forrest, and the first we see of him, he's heading off to this motel to cheat on his wife, who seems like a nice woman. I don't know why that marriage was in trouble, but he sneaks off to this motel to sleep with this woman he's seeing, who's also on the police force where he works. So, I mean, what an introduction for a character to see him cheating on his wife with someone in a motel. And now his wife leaves this film quite early on, so Jack and his mistress, Teresa, they become the main protagonists of the film quite quickly, and it's kind of weird to see them take on this role when, you know, they're the two cheats from the beginning, if you like. And they're not afraid to take the moral high ground when it comes to confronting the mayor and the prison infirmary doctor later in the movie. And I'm thinking, hang on, guys, you know. But Forrest's a good character. I mean, he's played by Bruce Campbell, who everybody knows from being in The Evil Dead, and Bruce Campbell's terrific. But I only know him, or used to only know him, for Maniac Cop. I didn't see Evil Dead until I was at least in my 30s. So for me, he was always just the guy from Maniac Cop. And then I discovered that he also did this big role as Ash in the Evil Dead series. But for most people, it's probably the other way around. He's probably the Evil Dead guy, and then they go and discover Maniac Cop, you know. But he's very, very good. He's a very good leading man. Definitely suits playing a cop. Very talented. His mistress is played by Laurene Landan, I believe, who's a quite curious thing. In this film, she looks really attractive when she's first on screen in this motel. And then in her next scene, she puts on all this makeup to go undercover as this prostitute. And she bizarrely keeps the makeup on for like the rest of the movie. And I'm just thinking, why did they do that to her? She looks so attractive in the first scene. And for the rest of the film, just not so much. It's kind of weird. But this film is really loaded with actors that you've probably seen or recognise. Tom Atkins is in it. He plays a character called Frank McRae. Ever dependable Tom Atkins. I was just talking the other day in my Halloween 3 character rankings video as to just how good Atkins is in any role he takes on, and he's really good here. He probably plays the only character who's sort of whiter than white, but he was good in The Fog as well. Just a brilliant actor, especially in the 80s when he was sort of in his heyday. Richard Roundtree is in this film, plays the mayor. Might remember him from Shaft. At the point where Jack and Teresa confront him, I just wanted him to go, "Shut your mouth." But sadly not. But no, Maniac Cop is a film with just so many actors. And we haven't even got to Robert Davi turning up in number 2. Really good. So what's the story like? Is this a good movie? It is, even after all these years later, because I first saw this film when I was a teenager. I saw all 3 of them pretty much back to back around about 93, 94. My dad rented them out for me and they were very scary to me back then. Watching this first one again now, all these years later, all these decades later, sadly, I'd say it's still a scary slasher film that's very good, at least for the first 2 acts. I think when it gets to the 3rd act, for some strange reason, the film then moves into daylight hours and it's less scary. You know, you can see Cordell's face at that point and he becomes less intimidating. That the film in general comes out of the slasher mode and into this weird action thriller type position where we suddenly see car chases and things going on that aren't that interesting. 1988, it was presumably an exciting thing to see 2 cars screeching around corners in the city centre, and watching a film these days and seeing that, it's just not exciting at all. And there's this one bit where a car kind of goes up this like San Francisco type slope and you can see all 4 wheels leave the ground almost in slow motion, and as if, oh, look at the money shot, guys. I'm thinking, no, it's not impressive in 2020. You need to think about what people are going to think about your films in the future. That's probably a bit of a harsh criticism, but the whole final act is not that great. Even the finale and this kind of dockyard place is just feels a little bit off to me. So first 2/3 of the film, great. Final third, not so much. But I would like to finish on a positive, which is my favourite scene in the movie. It's about halfway through where we weirdly cut to the perspective of Cordell for the first and only time in the film, I think. We cut to him just about to go to sleep in these docks where he's hiding out. And we get to see an inner montage of his thoughts where he's recollecting how he was sentenced by the judge, and we get to see him walking through the prison and all these guys looking at him as he comes in like, we're going to get you, Cordell, you know, that kind of thing. And then we get to see how he was taken down in the showers, and that's a really good fight scene. Cordell really gives as good as he gets for a while, but numbers eventually overwhelm him. And all this is set to this amazing musical piece. It's like 5 minutes of this ghostly, eerie, sad music, and it just all adds up to one of the best little segments of film I've seen for quite a while. And just this little bit really elevates this film. It was a really, really good bit. So on the whole, I'd say Maniac Cop is still, even in 2020, a very decent slasher film. It's a shame that it goes downhill a little bit in the last 20-30 minutes, but I'd still recommend it. It's still good. I believe that they're remaking it as like a limited TV series, you know, one of these series that runs for like 9 or 10 episodes. Should be interesting, though I don't know if COVID derailed that. So we'll see. So I think it's time to get the bag of terror out. Let's see what score we have for Maniac Cop. What have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 3.5 bloody axes out of 5. I think that's a good score for Maniac Cop. It's not an excellent film, but I'd still say it's better than average on the whole. So go check it out and stay tuned after this clip, because I will show you the new pin that needs to go into the horror locations map. Yeah, I've not reviewed a film that's set in New York yet, so we get a new pin today. So I'll show you that in a second. But until next time, bye-bye for now.